Oh my gosh, y'all, if you've been following me long enough, you know how much I love animals. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you this story really makes me irate. Just stay and listen till the end. It's kind of long. I'm going to make it as short as possible, but you just got to listen to all the things this girl did or didn't do. 4 dogs are deceased and 3 others are still fighting for their lives after a dog sitter crammed them into a tiny shed on a night when it was 86 degrees. Doesn't sound like much, right? Well, it does, but it doesn't sound horrible. You got to listen to how many dogs and what she did after the fact. It's awful. This person right here is Gabriella Massak, and she had a 5-star rating for dog sitting on the pet sitting app called Rover. This was for more than 900 reviews that she earned that 5-star rating. So not long ago, she was watching all these dogs, and instead of getting word that their dogs were okay, the pet owners instead got frantic calls and text messages on June 29th, all at around 5 a.m. from Gabriella, tell them that their dogs had suffered from heat strokes and that they were being rushed to a vet in Houston, Texas. The pet owners have shared the messages that Gabriella sent them, the text, with several media outlets, and I'm going to show you some of them in a minute. In those text messages, Gabriella tells the pet owners that she put their dogs to bed at 10 p.m. the night before. She woke up at 5 a.m. to find out that her air conditioning wasn't working. She blamed that on the dog's heat strokes and deaths. It gets worse. She is now under investigation by the Houston Police Department detectives in the Animal Cruelty Division. It was said that several of the owners were led, or most all of them were led, to think that their dog was the only one that Gabriella was going to be watching, along with her 2 dogs. She had 2 personal dogs. Some of the customers had previously used her or repeatedly used her in the past, and they said they would always get pictures of just their dog, or maybe a time or two they'd get a picture of their dog along with her 2 dogs. But it was never known that there were that many dogs staying there. But now they say that they feel like they were conned after they found out she had 11 dogs at one time. And this was at her home in Timber Grove. They said they were lied to and deceived and thought it was safe at her home. They thought they had checked everything out, but they were shocked. That's what one man whose chocolate Labrador passed away said. This is the small wood shed that is visible over the back fence of her home that she reportedly shares with her partner. It was said that they built it last year when turf was put down in their backyard. Reportedly, after these dogs passed away and had the heat stroke, angry locals and pet owners shared their accusations online, and it pissed a lot of people in the community off, and her house ended up getting egged. But that's neither here nor there. All of the 7 dogs that died were from the app Rover that I mentioned earlier. All were said to have had heat strokes. Again, that was due to being housed overnight in this teeny tiny shed with no air conditioning while she was sleeping peacefully in her home. As if that wasn't bad enough, after all of these early morning frantic phone calls and text messages to the pet owners, Gabriella took the 7 dogs to the vet. Allegedly, she gave them fake names and fake phone numbers for several of the pet owners. At least that's what the owners have accused her of. Her Rover account was taken down along with all of her social media and her partners. She also stopped responding to text messages. Another pet owner said they too got a call at around 5:30 a.m. on June 29th. They immediately knew something was wrong, and it was said that Gabriella was crying. And when they asked if their pet was alive, Gabriella said no. They said an hour went by and they didn't hear anything, so they became hysterical. The pet owners did, so they called the vet. And they said that it was then they found out that the dog had died and it was because of a heat stroke. They said they knew nothing about that little shed, nor did they know that other dogs were there, much less that many other dogs, and that they were always under the impression that their dog would be the only one that she was taking care of at the time. Reportedly, they said that they haven't heard from her since, and she even still has their dog's belongings. They said there was no apology or anything. They also said that they don't have children, so their dog was like their child. It was said that they had used Gabriella's services a couple of times over the past year, but they never went inside her home. She always got the dog in the driveway and gave the dog back to the owners in the driveway. Said that Gabriella and her partner created an illegal system in their home and that they feel like they were conned or misled. They said they don't know how many times, but all signs suggest there was a scaling of this operation recently. Another set of pet owners, and I'm going to leave all the pet owners' names out of this, but they lost their 6-year-old pet Labrador Retriever. Their story was similar and the pet's name was Rover. They were in Canada visiting family when they got this text from them saying that we had an emergency. I woke up and I'm at the vet. The AC wasn't working. You can read it here. Notice that one little picture as if her dog is just all happy-go-lucky up there at the top. They replied, "Oh no, can we call you? Is Porter okay?" And that's when they said they talked to her on the phone. That's when Gabriella told them that Porter died from a heat stroke. They said that did not make sense at all, because if the dog was in her house like it should have been, Even if the AC did go out, it wouldn't have gotten that hot. It was not until after they spoke to the vet that they found out that Porter was one of many dogs that she was looking after, which was not like the photos that she sent them, like this one I'm about to show you. So in all the photos, she never would show all the other dogs in there with them. She'd make it look like she was just watching theirs. They said that the first and only time they knew there were other dogs there was when they called the vet and they were like, "You're one of 7." The vet told them that. They said that they thought Porter was there with just 1 or 2 other dogs, and that had they known, nobody on earth would have sent their pet to be with that many other dogs in a small, tiny shed. It was said that the only reason she called them is because she needed them to call the vet and put their paperwork in and their credit card information. That's probably the only reason she even called them. But let me tell you one thing. She wouldn't need my credit card information, or the vet wouldn't, because she would be paying for these expenses. Another dog named Archie was an 11-month-old Bernedoodle. He actually survived through the night, but it said he is in critical condition but slowly improving. Archie's owner also woke up to text messages, as you can see here, at 5:39 a.m. "I'm taking Archie to the ER. I woke up and the AC wasn't running. He has had a heat stroke and we are rushing to Gulf Coast. Oh my God, update." The owner said, "I'm at Gulf Coast." Where was he? She won't answer the question. "They are trying to reach you to start care," she says. The owner said they needed to know where Archie had been and what happened, and that she needed to call them back now. They said their first thought was wondering where the heck he was, because if power goes out in the middle of the night, they are going to get a bit warm, but nobody's going to have a heat stroke. He had the nerve to respond and say, "In the back room," which made it sound like it was a back room in the home, not a back small shed in your backyard with however many other dogs were there. It was said that the vet had problems contacting or even identifying some of the dog owners after she just left them at the vet, and that the only reason they were even able to get Archie's pet parents' numbers because it was written on his collar. His owner said she has not once texted to express any type of concern or sympathy or to apologize and ask how they are doing or if she can do anything, and that is absolutely disgusting to me. She is still in the vet, attached to oxygen and a feeding tube. Other former clients who weren't even involved in all of this said they were terrified to hear about the accusations on social media. It was said she would never let people inside their home, inside her home, no matter how many times they were there, to let them see the living condition. Others said that their dogs would have like a soaking wet chin or neck, most likely because she was holding them captive in that little bitty shed. Another dog owner said that every time their dog would go to her, it would come home with horrible stomach issues that required medical care for weeks after. Staff at the vet clinic said it was horrible to have to treat these dogs due to these heat strokes, and it was just very distressing when the dogs passed away, or how she brought them in after they were dead. One said she was absolutely just distraught and sobbed when she was told. Another set of locals who heard about all of this online said that she actually reported her, Gabriella, to authorities one time because there was a dog going crazy and barking in her backyard. Now listen to this. BARK, which is the city's municipal animal shelter, went to visit her home, but she would not allow them in without a search warrant. Well, if you're not doing anything wrong, why not let them in? Eventually, the 4 remaining dogs were removed from the property. It was said that on Monday afternoon, investigators were searching the house, and police luckily opened an investigation into animal cruelty charges. BARK had previously issued Gabriella a citation for not having a commercial pet service facility license, but I don't guess she cared. The app Rover said it was deeply concerned and promised to conduct a thorough investigation and to work with authorities regarding this. They also said they were committing to supporting the pet parents who lost their animals or whose animals were still sick. They will reimburse the families for veterinary expenses, which is great. Good by BARK, but in my opinion, Gabriella should have to pay them 100%. Reportedly, the temperature in Houston was between 83 and 86 during those hours the dogs were left in the shed. The temperature reached 95 degrees the afternoon before. I just can't believe she had the nerve to do this. Prayers to all of the families of these fur babies and the fur babies who are still in the vet. I hope they get better. Losing a pet is like losing a family member. So many things are wrong with this situation. What if the dogs had fought each other and gotten hurt? She would have never known she was inside her house unless she had cameras, but whatever. Still, what if it was too late when she ran out there? Of course, the temperature and the fact that all these dog owners were misled, etc., etc., etc. I hope she is never allowed to watch another pet again. Again, I hope justice is served.